another bad time where a multiple shooting has transpired in what should have been celebration. Last night at the time of the shooting, I was at the San Gennaro Festival, an ethnic festival that is internationally celebrated. Locally here in the Bronx, Central Americans got together, brand new immigrants, and had a celebration. Not unlike many celebrations that occur in the five boroughs. In fact, as I was going through the mounds of debris, I saw a flag from El Salvador. I've seen other paraphernalia that would indicate that people who were originally from Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and Mexico were here, and they were celebrating their traditions, which is part of the rite of passage of all New Yorkers, whether they've been here for generations or they've just arrived. But what is interesting is that Flores, who lives in the immediate area, who has worked with the Guardian Angels for years in doing community cleanups, let me know at about 11:15 that there had been these shootings and that the police were swarming the area as a result. So we were able to actually take a run, check it out. But I will tell you, this morning as we returned to the scene, I'm appalled for a number of reasons. A, I can understand why you would not remove the debris in the crime scene. Totally understood. The police have to do their forensic research. But look at all this debris that is left around on the outside. What kind of a symbol does this send to the rest of the city? But remember, this is the Bronx. This is not 60th and Madison. This is not Felicia, where another horrible crime occurred, where individuals were running in, stealing Rolexes, and shot somebody in the leg. But it shows you the different kind of response. Who's here this morning? Look behind you. Saw local police from the 4-4 precinct who were overtaxed to begin with, and a local commander, probably out of Bronx Central Command along the Cross Bronx Expressway. You see anybody here from One Police Plaza? You see anybody here from the mayor's office? Do you see any of the elected officials of the Bronx, including those that represent this district, at the assembly level, at the state senate level, at the city council level, at the congressional level, at the borough president level? Nobody. Because people in the Bronx are perceived of as not being worthy. I know. I started the Guardian Angels 42 years ago in the Bronx for that very reason. No services from police. And look at the police up here in the Bronx. Recently, the 4-6 precinct, which is right next door, attacked a demonstration after a violent shooting on 108th and Valentine. A good shooting, the police responding off duty. As a young man was firing shots, they shot him dead. His father picks up the weapon, continues to shoot at the police. Black Lives Matter has a rally that leads to an attack on the police at the 4-6 precinct. Where was the response from City Hall, One Police Plaza, the elected officials? Nothing. But when I'm mayor, that's going to be completely different. I wouldn't be in this position if not for people living in the Bronx who gave me an opportunity in the Guardian Angels to take back the streets, take back the subways, take back the parks. What is so identifiable in this shooting, like so many other crimes committed in parks, look at all the light stanchions. Where the hell are the police cameras? We spend millions and millions of dollars on this technology. And yet there seems to be a prohibition from the de Blasio administration and Parks Department to put up this technology that, if nothing more, could have filmed the individuals, the suspects, supposedly 3 who came in here and randomly shot into the crowd. And if nothing more, a deterrent. Because people will know that there are cameras in the park. You could commit a crime in the park system of New York City, and it's almost guaranteed that you will not be photographed and you will not be filmed, as what typically generally happens in the public streets, either from private cameras that are located normally in retail establishments, or the many city cameras that are put up by the police department in New York. I'd love to have an explanation from the missing in action mayor who came up and spent a week in the Bronx, was besieged by local residents that said, you got to do something about the gangs, you got to do something about the shootings, you got to do something about the gangs, and instead played volleyball at Orchard Beach and played basketball up near Arthur Avenue, and did not address the issues that are a continuous problem here and in Brooklyn and in Queens and Staten Island and Manhattan. So I say to everyone today, I return to my roots here in the Bronx, and I look at this crime scene, and I say, look at the response from downtown. Invisible. Compare it when the shooting took place at Philip Chow, and understand that was a very bad shooting, a very bad crime. Another stigma, another bad mark against the city of New York. But juxtaposition it. Garbage everywhere. Nobody from One Police Plaza. Nobody from City Hall. None of the local officials. If you lived in this area, what would you think about how your officials respond to you? How the police commissioner or the mayor responds to you? You might as well be part of this debris that has been left aside. And you can tell what a dire circumstance it must have been as people fled for their lives. Fled for their lives, left everything else behind. So in the Curtis Sliwa administration, we need more cops. Bottom line, we don't have enough cops. There are only 34,000 cops. If you don't get more cops, you're not going to be able to fully patrol, especially high crime areas, which are deserving of additional patrols. You need an additional 4,000 cops now. You've got to have a method to get them. I have that method, which is to tax Madison Square Garden, Columbia University, NYU, sitting on massive endowments. They pay no property taxes. You can have a specified tax against these entities in which you specifically use it to hire the badly needed police. We had an opportunity to hire police. President Joe Biden put aside $350 billion of the 1.9 stimulus bill to deal with coronavirus. He said cities in distress, cities with gang violence, cities with gun violence, and that included Chicago, Cleveland, Baltimore, Washington. I'm familiar with those cities because I have guardian angels there, and New York City. He said you can use some of that money to hire police now. De Blasio said no once. He said no twice. That money will not be here in the beginning of the year. It was offered. It will not be offered again. We're facing a $6 billion deficit. We need more cops. Secondarily, we need proactive cops. They are not permitted to do their jobs by City Hall, by this mayor. They have been told to be reactive, not proactive. There were no cops present in the park last night. There were no parkies, that special public safety detail unit of the New York City Parks Department. There's a 10 o'clock curfew in parks that is never enforced any longer. Occasionally in Washington Square Park, but again, look at the juxtaposition. The people of Washington Square Park versus the people of the Bronx. Could easily have passed through the park with the motorized vehicles and amplification, warning everyone in English and Spanish that the curfew was upon us at 10. Please start packing up, get ready to go. They did it at the San Gennaro Festival last night, a half hour before they closed down, warning everyone, please begin to exit the area. Vendors, you need to close down. This is the basic common sense approaches that don't cost any money. Enforce the provisions that already exist. The reason there's a curfew is that there's an understanding that anything that occurs after 10 o'clock probably is not going to be good. And most importantly, above all else, you have to put the pressure on the DAs. I don't know if you're aware, but I've been following this because obviously this is what I do all the time, even when I'm not running for mayor. Multiple shootings have resulted in almost no arrests. Think back. The one in Corona was the most egregious. Gangbangers come in on motorized vehicles. They shoot 10 people randomly, 3 of them Trinitarios. I said at that point, I'll bet you it's a subset of the Trinitarios because they're always at war with one another. Has there been any arrests in Queens? No. Why? Because they fled to the DR. guaranteed. That's common. Anybody in the streets could tell you that. And yet no arrests, no prosecutions, no indictments. The Roosevelt homes in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 8 people were shot. No arrests. Belmont in Brownsville, right on Mother Gaston Boulevard, 5 were shot, drive-by shooting, as they were shooting dice outside. There have been no arrests. Go through the multiple shootings that have occurred in this city and notice how in all these multiple shootings there's been a lot of attention, there's been rewards. In fact, I, on behalf of the Guardian Angels, have offered rewards upwards of $20,000 for any information that would lead to the capture, indictment, and prosecution of the accused. And there have been no arrests. The DAs have to take responsibility for that because they're not using the detectives within their division to go out there and aggressively pursue leads. We know that the police department is impaired. We know the detective units of the NYPD are impaired. But public safety has let the people of the city down. And most importantly, the Bronx. Again, I want you to just view this scene. This is a disgrace that all this debris outside of the crime scene would be left around. There's no need for this. This is not a crime scene outside of the yellow line. What is the implication? What is the suggestion about the Bronx? People are going to see this here and maybe all over the world. You would have thought there would have been the modicum of interest to make sure the area was clean. Nothing. And again, the mayor's staff, has anybody shown up? No. One Police Plaza, look over there. Nobody. Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. likes to go to rap concerts all the time and do this. How come he's not here? What do we have to do? Have a rap concert in Claremont Park to get him to scrape the barnacles off his backside, get his rear end gear, and get here? He elected officials. Congressman Richie Torres, where are you? Assemblymen, state senators, city council people, where are you? Curtis Sliwa's here like he's always been in the Bronx. And it's not because I'm getting a free meal or because the jet setters or trendoids are here, because in this part of the Bronx, the people are forgotten. And they will not be forgotten when I'm mayor, because I would never be in this position if not for the people in the Bronx and Brooklyn especially. Any questions? You had a party, people from Central America, brand new immigrants. From what I can detect, they were from Mexico, Belize, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. This has been an annual event in which people get together and they celebrate. No different than the San Gennaro Festival or other celebrations that are taking place all over the city. The difference is this is a city park. It has a curfew. As we have seen, curfews are rarely, if ever, enforced. The only time of late where they've been enforced is in Washington Square Park, on occasion. But it's like an accordion. Sometimes, maybe no times, confusing. Let people know you can use the park. At 9:30, the parking should have been warning everybody it's time to get your stuff and leave. And then the police from the 4-4 precinct should have come in and made sure that the park was cleared out. Most of the shootings that we've seen in the city occur after midnight or near midnight. Why? Because generally people have been drinking, people have been celebrating, people have been partying. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. And if there's no enforcement around, the criminals will come out and commit their dastardly deeds. I don't know the specifics of who's responsible for this. The descriptions of people were, it seemed that individuals, male, 3 black males, came in, capping shots, jumped into a white Nissan, and fled off. No different than other circumstances in which people have come in, capped shots, jumped into a car, and left. Difference is, generally if it's in the streets, you have video or photographs. Where are the cameras in this park in most parts? The de Blasio administration and the Parks Department have a virtual prohibition against putting cameras in the park. And I think this is just one of many situations that demand that we have this. It ain't 60th Street, Madison Avenue, that's for sure. Now, it's obvious why the debris was left. People were fleeing for their lives. Nobody's going to come back, especially once the police are here and they're terrified. But you would have thought, once this became a major crime scene, that elements within Bronx County, City Hall, would have said, gee, we better clean up the periphery. This really looks bad. No effort whatsoever. I guarantee you, if this had happened in Central Park, a cleanup would have been underway right away. It is said to the residents of the Bronx, is when I started the Guardian Angels in the Bronx in 1979, that you are people of no consequence. You don't have wealth, you don't have influence, your votes are already taken for granted. You know you're all going to vote for the Democrat no matter who he or she is. There is no Republican representation, there is no two-party effect. And you get what you vote for. And unfortunately for the people in the Bronx, they've gone one way, and none of them are here today. You would think, I don't care what they were doing, going to church, taking care of their family. They would have even sent a representative. They all have staff that we pay for. They all have deputies that we pay for. But from the mayor right on down, nobody who has an interest in this area is here. You see the head of the Parks Department here? I wonder if he even knows he has a park in Claremont Park, or Pomona Park, or St. Mary's Park, where I've spent years, and some of the same conditions prevail whenever a crime is committed.
I witnessed the heavy volume of sirens last night, around 11:12, 11:15 last night, and quickly reached for my scanner and realized, coming through the radio, that multiple people were getting shot here in this park. When I heard that an 11-year-old was hit, that's when I reached out to Curtis to send him the message. No, I wasn't in the park. I was home. I lived 2 blocks away. I could hear all the sirens constantly going through my window. My windows were shaking. So many sirens. Well, yeah, I remember the McDonald's shooting a couple of months back on Webster, right off the park. And I was there with another news station, and I had asked at that particular moment that that the police would more increasingly, patrol this area, and they should put cameras. It's funny because the day right after that McDonald's closed for construction, and they fixed everything up from their end, and they added cameras outside their McDonald's. But the city has not put any cameras outside on Webster Avenue, near the park. And years ago, I have talked about the pruning of these trees. A lot of these trees need pruning because they're covering the light. They're hanging over the light, and then the light can expand to shine upon where the people are. So if you come here at night, the lights are on, but the leaves are, sucking up the light. So you have a lot of dark areas. So they need pruning. The Parks Department needs to step up with that.
Any other questions? I think you have a perfect idea of how the city responds to shootings. Philippe Chow, which rightfully they came in with incredible amounts of response. I only wish that they do that for every shooting. And I only wish that every entity of government takes these shootings in the outer boroughs just as seriously as when they occur in Midtown Manhattan or Times Square. Reality is, they don't. To me, these people are even more important because they're the have-nots. And the have-nots are the people that we have been providing security for 42 years in the subways, the streets, and the parks as guardian angels. That's why I feel I'll be a better candidate for mayor, because I understand what these people are going through. And I think the powers that be in the city oftentimes are blind to what happens in these neighborhoods. Thank you.
There you have it, folks. I'm Daniel Valls, free videographer for Freedom News TV. Uh, his message was pretty clear. More cops to patrol the streets, to patrol the parks. What you just finished watching was Curtis Sewell, who is a mayoral candidate for the city of New York, and you know, he was really upset about the situation. 11-year-old boy was shot here. He is in stable condition. It was a man who did not make it. He was pronounced at the hospital, and two other people were shot. So right now we are going to end it from here in the Bronx, in Crotona Park. I'm Dan Valls reporting for FNTV. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next time.